Archives of Prasar Bharati presents the timeless treasure of golden era.
All of you, while observing the development of a growing child, must have marveled at the innate programming of nature, one stage synchronizing with the next one. Unfortunately, at times, there can be a fault in this innate programming, leading to certain problems in the development or developmental delays. Today's episode of MindWatch will deal with these developmental delays in children.
From the moment of conception, the fetus goes through various stages of rapid growth and development, culminating into a fully grown infant, ready to take on the world with all its challenges. The growing infant quickly progresses through various stages of development that accompanies the spurt of brain growth and activity. When there is a failure or arrest in brain growth, it can result in a corresponding delay in the development of certain skills which are required for normal daily living.
Till a few years back, whatever happened to the child, good or bad, was considered to be the fate of the family. If a child was born with certain disabilities, it was considered to be bad past karma or even curse of gods. A child who could not walk properly was thought to be burden on the family, a retarded child butt of ridicule, and a child with speech difficulties as useless.
The development of intelligence in children happens from the time they are born in this earth, the time they are born, the time they come to this earth. The development depends both on nature and nurture. In terms of the socio-emotional development, even a child who is 2 weeks old has a spontaneous smile. The child tends to smile on his or her own by the age of 2 weeks. By the age of 3 months, the child has a very well-developed social smile. By the age of 1 year, the child knows that there is an immediate family surrounding me, there are people caring for me, and child tends to engage these people on his or her own and is eager to imitate whatever they are doing. This is an important aspect of social development.
At 3 months of age, the baby is able to hold his head when either pulled up from the lying down position or otherwise held up without any bobbing movements. By about 4 to 5 months, the human baby, once put down prone, is able to extend himself on his arms, and by about 5 months is able to sit without support, though the back is initially very rounded. By 9 to 10 months, children are able to attain standing position by grasping onto something or able to move from one object to the other, so-called cruising. The 11 to 12-month-old child is able to crawl and attain some degree of mobility that way. Normally, children begin to walk by the age of 1 year to 15 months.
Language development wise, language has two components. The child has to make sense of the spoken language, and the other aspect of language development is the expressive language. So by the age of 1 year, 3 months, the child has a vocabulary of a dozen or a half a dozen words. The child is able to identify people around him by saying the mama, papa, or this is milk. Still later, the child continues to develop the expressive abilities, develops the spoken language well, starts saying 2-word sentences by about 1 year, 6 months, and starts saying 3-word sentences by about 2.5 years to 3 years.
At this point, one may state that there are certain commonly held misbeliefs, I should say. Number one is, a lot of people tend to believe that girls speak earlier than boys, or girls attain milestones relatively earlier compared to boys. At this point, one may state that there is relatively no difference significantly between the two genders as regarding the attainment of initial developmental milestones.
It's important to emphasize that children develop at their own unique pace, but if there is a significant deviation, then it may mean signs of an impending trouble, especially if it is interfering with the normal functioning of the child.
All children are expected to grow in a particular fashion. As they grow, they pass through certain stages of development. It so happens that occasionally children don't pass through a particular stage at an appropriate time. This can occasionally then worry parents. A delay occurs when a child who ought to have attained what we would call a milestone hasn't done so.
A few children who have fairly normal intelligence when tested do manifest disturbances in a few developmental areas. A child can be absolutely normal but has specific motor delays, or the child can have only disturbances in learning or with reference to spelling and speaking. A few children have problem only with mathematics. Other than that, the child is absolutely normal.
Developmental delays are of different types. You can have a specific developmental delay or you can have a generalized developmental delay. A generalized developmental delay means that all the child's milestones are delayed. A typical example is that of mental retardation. Another kind of delay are the specific developmental delays.
The developmental delay or lag in children may be found in one or all areas of functioning. There are also different kinds of delays that are found in children. In simple terms, whenever a child is unable to attain a certain milestone that is expected at or around that particular age, then the child is supposed to be having a developmental delay.
जब पैदा होता जब तो यही था कि ये काफ़ी वैसे कमज़ोर था.
At the time of birth itself, he was pretty weak and underweight. Till the age of 3, he continued to be sick and unhealthy. He started walking only at around 2.5 years. He was quite slow in achieving the other milestones also. He could not eat properly or button his shirt. We were then referred to a specialist for detailed evaluation, who told us that we should not keep high expectations from him as he would not be able to study much.
These developmental delays can occur when the child is in utero, during birth or after birth. The causes of developmental delays can be, as I said, antenatal, natal and postnatal.
Common causes for delays in development amongst children may be either, if one has noticed something like that, an infection or some kind of a problem like that. But equally common are some degrees of abnormality in brain development.
The causes for different kinds of developmental disorders are complex and varied, yet it is accepted that in almost all the cases there is some biological basis. This biological basis may range from factors relating to the maturational process of the brain to minimal brain dysfunction or to a defective intrauterine growth of the fetus or certain biochemical changes in the brain.
One of the kinds of developmental delays that one worries about is specific speech delay. Specific speech delay is very worrying because speech is a very important form of communication. We have often found that children who speak late have other associated problems.
But definitely a child at 2+ who is not either naming objects or vocalizing, or joining together 3 words, I want this, don't want this, ha, na, whatever it may be, should receive some further attention.
Besides developmental delays in different areas of functioning, there are also specific learning disabilities. Learning disabilities in areas of reading and writing together called as dyslexias or specific arithmetic disability.
Specific learning disability is a heterogeneous group of disorders, usually of neurological origin, and children who have these disorders have trouble in reading, writing, spelling, mathematics, listening and social skills as well. These disorders can co-occur with a number of other disorders of children like emotional and conduct disturbances. Specific learning disability is one important form of specific developmental delay.
In writing, children tend to write like D instead of B. These are the common mistakes they make, and
While reading, they omit certain words, like omit the, omit a. Sometimes they read very slowly, and in maths also they are not able to compute very fast.
Children with specific learning disabilities have these disturbances from very young ages. And since school is a very, very important part of a young child's life, a child who has a specific learning disability suffers from very serious consequences, both psychologically and emotionally and academically.
From kindergarten onwards, and sometimes even before that, you can identify a child with learning disability. They would begin by having trouble with learning the alphabets, sometimes reversing the letters of the alphabet, such as B for D. Even in Hindi they write them reversed, or with numbers. They would find that they have trouble learning the vowels of sounds of letters, such as A, E, I, O, U. They mix them up.
मैं बात करना चाहती हूँ पर कैमरे के सामने अपना फेस नहीं लाना चाहती.
I want to talk, but then I do not want to face the camera because that might create problems for my child. Actually, when he was promoted to class 4, that is the time we realized that he had a specific problem. He wasn't able to write properly, spell accurately, or even pronounce some words. His major problem is in writing. He tries to include all the points, but does not know how to answer properly.
चाहता है कि छोटा-छोटा मतलब आंसर रहे, लेंथी नहीं करूँगा.
Our child especially, somehow she is not able to perform well in the exams. Whereas we find that she can learn the answers to descriptive questions quite well, and she can orally she can tell answers to any of the questions, but when it comes to writing, she has some problems in spellings and putting down the answers properly.
They have trouble with handwriting, copying from the blackboard, and even from just basically copying their homework down, writing on the lines. And as they go into class 1 and 2, you will notice that they have reading difficulty, so they find reading very difficult. As they go into class 3, 4 and 5, typical spelling errors become very evident.
My daughter is 10 years, 4 to 5 months old at present, studying in 4th class. She is not able to read properly, she is not able to write anything, she is not able to understand.
I would not be able to grasp any long answers, and everybody would make fun of me that Neha can't do this, Neha can't do that.
Now we find this creates a lot of problem for these children because they are of average intelligence. Everybody believes that they are okay, but they are pretending, or they are deliberately trying not to study just to trouble the adults. And teachers also say, if he can understand everything, answer everything, why can't he read, write or do maths like everybody else? So often this is seen as deliberate act. Consequently, there is a lot of punishment at home and at school.
It has been commonly seen that most of the children with some kind of specific learning disability also show emotional disturbances. These may contribute to, or may be the reason for, these specific learning disabilities. These children can feel isolated, segregated or inferior to the other children.
A child who has specific learning disabilities or dyslexia may have severe psychological impact. The implications are manifest in such symptoms such as enuresis or bedwetting, the child being withdrawn, not wanting to go to school, many of them also showing severe aggression, not getting along with other children of their age or peers.
When others used to try to ignore me and all, I used to just feel bad and complain to the teachers, and the teacher said that Neha, it's not your fault, God has made you like that.
Actually in school I couldn't read properly, so I had that complex. I couldn't take parts in dramas where I'm good in acting and all.
Eventually the child may have psychological feelings of neglect, of not having confidence, lowered self-esteem.
Timely identification and systematic remediation methods go a long way in helping the children with these disabilities to cope better.
The assessment should be done by a trained educational psychologist or an educational diagnostician, where reading tests are given, spelling tests are given, tests for memory, both auditory and visual are given, and then we determine whether there is a lag according to the age and decide on the basis of these tests whether there is a specific learning disability or sometimes dyslexia as it is called.
These children can certainly be helped. The first thing the teacher has to do is be very observant in class, and this is possible if she is handling the class for the whole day. She has to be constantly with the child and then know what is the problem with the child, and then there should be an interview with the parents to communicate to them or find out more about the disability from the parents.
Ordinary classroom teaching as we know it does not help the child to overcome this problem, because they require structured phonetic method of teaching, a multi-sensory method, and this remedial teaching is best given on an individual or very small group basis in a special environment by specially trained teachers.
It is very important for the teacher to establish a good rapport, because unless the child feels close enough to the teacher, he will not tell the teacher what his problems are.
So when you encourage the child and stop being very punitive to him or punishing him when he makes mistakes, you will find the child starts getting interested in reading and writing, and also read things to him, show him pictures, make things interesting.
At times those children who have been diagnosed as having early developmental delay or those at risk for developmental delay can be started on an early intervention program. This is an active intensive program which can help in the process of brain growth and development.
The first thing, who does early intervention? It really depends upon the area we are trying to concentrate on. If it is the speech area, then it's the speech pathologist who does it. Along with him in the team, there have to be special educators who can work on the baby pretty early.
A special educator is basically a teacher who has received training and education in teaching children with special needs. The best time to take the child with a learning disability to a special educator would be as soon as the news is broken or the parent gets to know that the child has a handicap.
The child, if he is not having the normal milestone and is asked to take help for the special program, the special educator or the special person who is dealing with the child, he should first see what the child is able to do, at what level he has come to him, and making that as a baseline data, he should try to stimulate him for other areas.
After that assessment is over, then the special educator designs a program or a plan of activities which is then followed by the parents. Usually for the young child, this plan of activity takes into account the movement needs, the eating and the self-help needs. At a later stage would come in the academic needs and the socialization needs, the behavior of the particular child. These are then looked after by the special educator in cooperation with the parent.
We identify first the area of block, and then we try to stimulate the child or provide those stimulation, if not through that system, to another system, and then it helps in the integration.
Coming to the gadget part of it, well, not really. You don't need a lot of equipment for early intervention. What you need is a lot of common sense. You can do it at home. Pretty simple example, you have a child who doesn't have very good finger movements, you can try to do it with clay. You have a child who's not really moving his lips very well, get him to have his little spoon full of maybe dahi and chawal or something, and let him come forward, take it from his lips, so you are getting the lips to approximate.
Suppose the child is not sitting properly, so he should be made to sit with the help of a corner in the house where the two walls are getting together, and then he should have a pillow underneath his chin so that he gets a support, and this they can do little by little until the child gets this idea of sitting with the support, and then they can withdraw a certain help and he will sit independently.
What happens, a child usually, if it is a normal child, learns on his own, but when there is a problem, he needs some special handling, some special technique, some special equipment. So if that is provided at right time, then definitely it gives good results.
Early identification and intervention in developmentally delayed children often requires inputs from several co-professionals, such as a physiotherapist, occupational therapist, speech pathologist, and a special educator who may all work together simultaneously with the child to provide a holistic approach to the process of remediation and treatment.
Constant and regular help prove to be extremely useful. These children need not be labeled as slow learners and isolated from other children. Parental guidance and help from school prove to be useful to get them integrated with others.
Here are do's and don'ts for parents. Educate yourself about normal child development. Provide your child with a stimulating environment. Be optimistic in your attitude. If there is a developmental delay, accept it. Be consistent and patient while training the child. Reach out for professional help. Don't wish away the problems of your child. Don't feel ashamed of your child's disability. Don't pressurize your child. Don't humiliate your child. Don't expect overnight results. Don't postpone seeking help.
Children are precious gifts of nature, more so those with special needs or problems. Do not reject or ignore them. Give them special attention, care, and tireless efforts. Do not get disheartened. Take professional help to help these children on the road to recovery and take pride in their achievements.
Silent in your tears, wasted in your years. When you cry alone. Recourse to fantasy, living with insanity. Another night beside the phone. Put your mind, feel the pain. Seek your meaning by MindWatch. Cage the war within. Addictions in the bin. Curl up with your memories. Togetherness and harmony.